Hello everyone, so today we're going to be starting off a little series here. As you can see in the background, this is going to be about the CG Open Invite, which is a tournament that we run in our Discord with a select sort of group of people. Anyone can join in, and there is up to £50 worth of prize support to be won. Completely free entry. All different experience levels are playing in. It's a best of 3 format. This series is going to be taking the best duel from each match of each week, putting it up to get a little bit of appreciation out to the players who are taking part and making this thing happen. So I really do appreciate anyone who is taking part in the tournament, anyone in the Discord, and frankly anyone who is subscribed to the channel and even watching this video. If you are watching this and you haven't subscribed or you haven't joined the Discord, I would definitely advise you do so. It is a whole lot of fun. You can get a lot of useful information, and again, you can even take part in competitions like this. This is the main one we're running at the minute while we're getting to grips with the whole thing, but it is a ton of fun. If you want to join in, hop into the Discord, learn more, win yourself a little bit of money as you're just having fun with some really cool strategies. And with that, let's get into the gameplay. Technomania, we're playing Ancient Gears against Cyber's Code Talkers from the looks of it. Salamagreat Code Talkers. We're going to go sign up mining, ditching the Balinks to add Code Generator to our hand here. Code Generator, of course, allowing us to link summon using it in hand. We are going to imperm preemptively on the Gazelle. Might not have been the best of calls there. That might have been a better imperm target down the line, but nonetheless, that's what we hit. We're going to go into Balinks now. Balinks grabbing the Sanctuary from our deck. Sanctuary then, of course, being able to allow our opponent to link summon into another Balinks. Again, maybe not the best of calls here. We're going to go into Code Talker. Code Talker then links up using the Microcoder in hand to Transcode Talker. So now we're going to get some gas going here. Microcoder grabbing the Cynet Codec from the deck. Cynet Codec then basically will allow this deck to extend crazily. We're going to go reviving our Code Talker using our Transcode and Code Generator to go into Access Code Talker. Now, why do we do that? This is a very important part of the Code Talker play. What you want to do is, using your Cynet Codec, anytime you summon a Code Talker monster, you're going to search your deck for a Cyber's monster who matches the attribute of the monster you summon. And summoning Dark is very important because you get to search your deck for Nightmare Corruptor Ibli. So the Code Generator then is going to send a monster from his deck to the graveyard, something like Dotskeeper potentially, or Sea Archiver. Cynet Codec is going to grab him the Ibli from the deck, and Access Code Talker, of course, is going to boost up to 5300. We're going to go Code Talker Inverted now. Code Talker Inverted will special summon the Ibli from the hand, as well as utilizing the effect of Codec to search his deck for a light monster, and Sea Archiver is going to give him the ability to revive itself from the graveyard. So now we've got quite a lot of resources on board here, grabbing a Cyber's Converter straight out from the deck, as well as summoning out our Nightmare Corruptor Ibli. We're then going to link 3 off into our Firewall Dragon. Firewall Dragon giving us a bounce equal to the number of monsters it's co-linked with. Nightmare Corruptor Ibli then summoning itself to our opponent's side of the field. So long as your Ibli is face up in your opponent's side of the field, they cannot special summon monsters except for link summoning, which means that if they don't have a way to link summon or get around this card, then they're going to have a bad time. Talkback Lancer then finishing off our link trifecta for the turn. So we have a singular bounce off of Firewall Dragon, not the most intimidating board, but we're hoping the Ibli does something to slow us down. We're going to go Ancient Gear Hunting Hound. Hunting Hound and the Ibli then going to link off into Predaplant Verte Anaconda. Verte Anaconda, of course, going to be targeted by our Firewall Dragon to bounce it back to deck. The Urgent Schedule making its way out though, but it's going to get negated by the Ash Blossom. Very, very rough turn for our Ancient Gear friend here. But this should be the majority of the interruptions dealt with, but the only question is, does our Ancient Gears have the ability to push through with this lack of resources? They're going to go Ancient Gear Fusion, fusing 2 into the Ancient Gear Howitzer, which is going to inflict 1000 points of damage to the opponent. If it's ever destroyed by battle, it will basically special summon an Ancient Gear monster from the deck, ignoring all of its summoning conditions, but that's not going to do very much against the likes of Access Code Talker. Bringing out the Code Talker again here, adding a Dark monster to hand while using Microcoder to search the deck for a Cynet spell or trap. Or actually, if it's on the field, you can also search for any level 4 or lower Cyber's monster, grabbing Microcoder and a Lady Debug, linking off into a link 3 here, another Transcode Talker, playing the double Transcode, very good. Transcode then giving them the ability to grab yet another Earth Cyber's monster from their deck, potentially the Gachiri, summoning out the Lady Debug off of their Firewall Dragon. There is the Gachiri. Lady Debug grabbing Infraflyer, yet another extender. The Infraflyer plus our Lady Debug into Update Jammer. Update Jammer and our transcode into Mekhnite Crusadia Avramax, which can now attack twice. Access code talker pops the... Oh, sorry, this is unaffected by other cards' effects, so that's why we were saying earlier on. So it's unaffected by effects, but it can still be destroyed by battle. So our opponent's simply going to swing in with the Avramax, destroying the howitzer. Its effect is going to activate to summon the golem from deck, but the golem's not going to do very much in the face of such a powerful board of monsters. So unfortunately, it is good night to our Ancient Gears. In this matchup, I do believe our Silmill here claimed a 2-1 victory against Technomania. So very well done to both participants, but especially Silmill for pulling out the win with Code Talkers. Alright, getting into the match between myself as well as Seymour Butts here. So we're going to go for Alibert the Jester of Despia right off the bat, searching their deck for Branded Fusion. Looking at the hand, you can tell quite clearly what it is they're playing. They've got Branded Dark Magician, so they're going to summon out Lubellion then discarding a card to shuffle back 2, to fusion summon out Dark Magician the Dragon Knight. And they're going to set their Eternal Soul and pass. So what exactly does this board do? For anyone who hasn't seen Branded Dark Magician before, basically what the idea behind the deck is, you want to utilize your Dark Magician the Dragon Knight and your combination with it and Eternal Soul in order to maintain a continuous resource loop, because so long as this card's face up, its name becomes Dark Magician, and your spells and traps cannot be targeted by or destroyed by card effects. And so long as Eternal Soul is face up, all of your Dark Magicians are completely unaffected by your opponent's card, which makes it incredibly difficult for your opponent to basically get past this little combination. So whenever they flip up Eternal Soul, we know that that's going to be a problem, so we chain Forbidden Droplet to the Soul to preemptively negate the Dark Magician the Dragon Knight, so that its name is no longer treated as Dark Magician, thus nullifying the combination, at least for this turn. We now need to take this advantage and press it, but looking at our friend's hand here, you can tell very clearly what's going to happen. They're going to use Ash Blossom to stop our search for Furion Regulus, which is completely fine, that makes total sense. Then we're going to activate our second field spell, the Union Hanger, to search our deck for the Bee Buster Drake. We're going to now normal summon Gold Gadget. He's going to chain to our summon of Gold Gadget the Max C, so we know that we're basically rushing against the clock here. We took a few seconds to set, and we thought about this play. We didn't know whether or not we wanted to go hard into it, but we decided, you know what, we're in this tournament for fun, we're just going to have a blast and go for it. We're going to use our Union Driver to get a Assault Core, then linking off into the soon-to-be banned Union Carrier, legal at the time but soon-to-be banned. We're going to chain then the effects upon being sent to the graveyard. The A Assault Core is going to add from graveyard back to hand our B Buster Drake. B Buster Drake is then going to search our deck for our C Crush Wyvern. There's our A, our B, and our C. Union Carrier then is going to equip onto itself the Photon Orbital from deck. Orbital then sending to grab a Galaxy Soldier. Galaxy Soldier can now discard any light monster in our hand to summon itself out of the field to search our deck for a second Soldier, giving us our 2 level 5 machines that we need. So we're going to ditch the Bee Buster Drake, we're going to summon out the second Soldier, exceed summoning off into Saber Dragon Nova, and then we're going to rank our Nova up into Saber Dragon Infinity. Infinity now is going to be able to suck up that Dragon Knight from our opponent's field, nullifying the threat so long as we can keep Infinity around. Then we're going to fusion summon into our ABC Dragon Buster, using its effect to get rid of the Eternal Soul, which will now nuke the opponent's board, destroying all their monsters, but we are just shy from lethal. So we're going to swing in for all the damage we got, leaving our opponent on 1100 life points, but they've got 8 cards in hand after their draw phase, 8 cards to turn it around. Looking at their hand now, obviously at the time I couldn't see it, but their hand is absolutely stacked. They're going to go for Dark Magical Circle, chaining to it the Soul Servant. Soul Servant will allow them to put a card on top of their deck, and then the Dark Magical Circle will of course add the card that they set, which in this case is the Magician's Salvation, meaning they get an extra free card of their choosing. Magician Souls, we were really wanting to save our Saber Dragon Infinity Negate for a branded fusion, but the Magician Souls is a problem because as soon as he sends a card for this, he pitches his Magician Souls and he's going to summon a Dark Magician, which means his Dark Magical Circle as a secondary effect. Once you summon a Dark Magician once per turn, you can target a monster in your opponent's field and you can banish it. So we either use it now or we lose it anyway. So we might as well prevent the summon of the Dark Magician in order to maximize the amount of resources, because feeling this, he summons a Dark Magician, crashes with our 2500 Infinity, and then we lose our Saber Dragon anyway. So we might as well attempt to protect it. There is the branded fusion that we were fearing. He's going to go into Lubellion, the Searing Dragon. Lubellion then of course being able to discard a card to fusion summon again. The Thespian Tragedy also having the opportunity to search his deck for a card as well. He's going to shuffle 2 back to summon out Mirror Jade, the Ice Blade Dragon, and Tragedy then is going to grab him Ad Libitum of Despia from his deck. Mirror Jade then, of course, detaching material. We're going to preemptively use our ABC Dragon Buster's effect to resummon all 3 of the banished ABC pieces to the field, because Mirror Jade does not target, so we wanted to make sure our Mirror Jade doesn't get hit. Infinity is now gone, unfortunately. Union Hanger will equip an Assault Core onto our B-Buster Drake. He's going to swing in, take out our Union Carrier, and he's going to basically activate his Magician Salvation, which grabs him another Eternal Soul, so we still have to compete with this combo, and he has his Dragon Nade back, which is a huge issue. Branded in red being set from the deck to the graveyard to the field, by the Albion. Eternal Soul in the draw phase, flipping itself up before we even get an opportunity to act, which is very important. If he had waited until the main phase to do that, then we would have been able to bring out our ABC Dragon Buster, as it doesn't begin a chain link, and preemptively banish his Eternal Soul. So very smart move from our opponent here. We're going to summon out the Assault Core, and then we're going to jump scare our opponent with the Underworld Goddess of the Closed World here. Now this is where things get dicey. We are going to negate his whole field. Here's Chain Link 1, Chain Link 2, we search our deck for a monster. Chain Link 3, we're going to add a monster from grave back to hand. Chain Link 4, our opponent's got branded in red, so they're going to fusion summon his Chain Link 4, and then the chain is going to resolve in reverse, so whatever monster they summon cannot utilize its effects, but that may just be worth it, because they're going to bring out the Chimera, being 3300 attack. It is bigger than our Goddess. We're going to grab back the Assault Core, we're going to search our deck for the Sea Crush Wyvern, setting up all of our ABC pieces yet again. We're going to then negate his board, so Chimera and Mirror Jade are both negated. However, he does get the opportunity to use his Despia, Ad Libitum of Despia, to revive the Dark Magician, the Dragon Knight. So his Dragon Knight is coming back yet again, which is going to, of course, be a problem. So yes, there's his Dragon Knight coming back. We're going to use Reasoning here. He Ash Blossoms our Reasoning, which is a very good hit for him. Reasoning is, of course, very powerful. So here we are, we're in a very interesting position, right? And this is where the entire game could have been won, okay? So right here, we could have won this game, but we misplayed. What we could have done is we could have utilized the effect of a Assault Core. We could have normal summoned a Assault Core, equipped it onto our ABC Dragon Buster, and our Dragon Buster would have been immune to the effects of monsters. Now, what happens here is going to be a perfect reflection of why you need to be careful. We swing in, take out the Dragon Knight. Our plan was at this stage to use ABC Dragon Buster, banish the Eternal Soul, wipe the field, attack for game. That would have been game over. No thoughts, no questions, no nothing. However, he does have the Alibur the Jester, a Despia, which now is going to be able to summon itself to the field, negating the effect of our ABC Dragon Buster. If we had summoned the Assault Core, we would have been immune to Alibur's effect, thus nullifying it and securing us the game. Unfortunately, we did not do that. We didn't think ahead, and it cost us everything. So we're just going to have to continue to truck along. We still have the Quick Play Banish on demand. Our opponent here is a little bit slow to get their Eternal Soul running, but I can't blame him. There's not really a good order in which to do this, because the Dragon Knight prevents targeting or destruction, so it doesn't really matter when he attempted to revive it. We always would have been able to preemptively target it before the summon would have been successful. So realistically, there was no way in which he could have successfully resolved this card to be of any use. He does activate it in response to it being targeted, which is going to summon back a Dark Magician monster, but the damage has already been done. We are going to tribute off our monster to summon back our ABC pieces. Then the Eternal Soul revives the Dragon Knight. Eternal Soul leaves the field, and when it leaves the field, we will once again wipe out our entire opponent's board. But this little maneuver here with the Mirror Jade as well, the Mirror Jade is negated from the Goddess, but the Dark Magical Circle banishing our B-Buster Drake means that we no longer have all of the resources needed to secure a follow-up ABC, and this really came back to bite us, because now, yes, his field is gone, and that's fine, that's whatever. He does have a main phase 2 branded fusion to utilize here. Lebellion coming out yet again. Branded just doesn't stop, my guy. It just keeps on going. It does not run out of resources. Mirror Jade making its way back to the field. Alibur grabbing himself a branded banishment from his deck to set to the field. Mirror Jade will finally get rid of one of our monsters. So now we're in a dire situation where we need to contend with quite a field with virtually zero resources. And don't forget that branded banishment can revive any fusion monster, including but not limited to Dark Magician, the Dragon Knight. So his Knight is back yet again, banishing one of our cards off of circle. We're going to set one, we're going to take out the Albion just to be petty, and we're going to pass back to our opponent here. We really are in a messy situation. This is very, very tight situation. They go straight to battle phase. They didn't know what our face down card was. They didn't want to take the risk. They're in a very safe position, so they 100% can afford to take it slow and can afford to take it safe. So they're going to attack in, almost finish us off. They're going to go for Magician Souls here. We're going to negate this with Infinite Impermanence. We don't need them drawing 2 extra cards. It would not realistically have been a massive issue to us. At this point, they're so far ahead of us that we're going to need a miracle to come back anyway. They're going to bring out Dark, the Dark Charmer. We have nothing for him to steal from our graveyard. We're playing all lights. We top deck into Reasoning. Reasoning then gets activated, and unfortunately, our monster that we hit is an Ash Blossom. If we hit any of our machines, we would have had a much higher chance of coming back from this. We could have hit Furion, we could have had to beat Buster Drake, we could have hit anything. But unfortunately, because we hit the Ash Blossom, there's not really anything we can do. It does very heavily limit what we can actually accomplish here. Magician's Rod making its way out, grabbing Secrets of Dark Magic from his deck, but again, it's of little consequence. Swings with Mirror Jade. Assault Core is going to add itself back from graveyard to hand. Dark Magician, the Dragon Knight, takes out the Ash Blossom. And finally, the game is won by the Magician's Rod. So very, very good duel here. All 3 rounds of this duel were fantastic. AJS Seymour Butts walks away with a 2-1 victory. Branded Dark Magician against ABC Dragon Buster. Very well played. Let's get into the next. Already going into Ace versus Yadis here. It looks like it's going to be some sort of Tri-Brigade mix up against the Libromancers. Libromancers, of course, being a very powerful deck, especially going second, but they don't have an awful lot of plays going first. So they're going to bring out their Libromancer Fire, which is going to grab their Agent from deck. Geek Boy, of course, is the main sort of engine card of the deck, searching them for the Field Spell. The Field Spell can be reused as a continuous ritual spell once per turn. The Doombringer then, of course, being the main play for Libromancers going first, because it's able to set up a trap card from their deck. They're going to bring out their Firestarter, then Ritual Summon off into Libromancer Fire Burst, which is a big beat stick and attacks several times, and I believe it can't be destroyed by card effects when you use the Firestarter for its play. They're going to go Libromancer Agent, grabbing back a Libromancer card from the graveyard, but that is going to get hit with the effect Veiler, so unfortunately they're not going to resolve that effect on this occasion. But it looks like our opponent still has a few things going on here. They're able to use the Field Spell to Ritual Summon into Doombroker. Doombroker grabbing a Libromancer Trap from the deck. They're going to go Libromancer Intervention, which basically says that whenever your opponent activates a card or effect, bounce a Ritual Monster back to the hand, and then negate the effect. Then you can Special Summon a Libromancer from your hand or graveyard. So it gives them a one-off interruption, and their other card, Libromancer Prevented, lets you target a card once per turn, and that card cannot be used in the summon of an extra deck monster. We are going to go for the Harpy's Feather Duster, forcing an early use of the intervention, so that does force the Omni Negate to be used right at the beginning of the turn. Not exactly great, we would have preferred to keep that, but we do get to resummon the Firestarter. Firestarter gains 200 attack and defense every time your opponent activates a card effect up to 3000. So we're going to go through our standard Tri-Brigade plays here, using Nerval to grab Karas from deck. Karas, of course, being able to discard a beast to summon itself. Karas discarding Darius, then summoning itself out to the field, activating its effect to banish 2 from grave in order to link summon out Gladiator, Beast, Dragula. So it looks like it's a Gladiator, Beast, Tri-Brigade deck. Of course, that's why we wanted to go second, so we can get swinging. Our opponent's going to flip up their Prevented card. Maybe not the greatest of targets. They might not have fully understood how Gladiator Beast works, because their Link monster is now going to be able to bring out any 2 Gladiator Beasts from deck. So that's the main bit of synergy between Tri-Brigades and Gladiator Beasts, being able to use your Tri-Brigades to summon out your Link monster with virtually 0 cost, and then using that to bounce into any 2 Gladiator Beasts straight from your deck. Then of course your 2 Gladiator Beasts can be used to go into Gladiator Beast Tamer Editor. Editor then basically allows you to summon out any fusion monster from your extra deck, bringing out Domitianus from the extra deck with virtually, again, 0 cost, then linking off into Test Panther grabbing Gladiator Beast comeback from our deck, Gladiator Beast comeback reviving the Editor. Editor's effect resolving again, it's a soft once per turn, bringing out Heraclinos. Heraclinos, of course, basically, so this Domitianus allows you to choose your opponent's attack targets as well as providing a once per turn monster negate. And the Heraclinos allows you to discard a card to negate the activation of a spell or trap, and that effect is not once per turn. It's for as many cards as you have to discard. We're going to use our Equest to grab back our comeback from the graveyard. A lot of the Gladiator Beast cards aren't once per turn, so you can continually sort of loop them. We are going to finish off our turn by going Masquerena. Libromancer going to use its field spell to summon out the Doombroker once more. Our opponent's going to go, we're going to try and resolve our Masquerena here, but our Masquerena is going to get targeted by Libromancer Prevented, meaning of course it can't be used in a Link summon this turn, which was very clever from the Libromancers here, basically nullifying the IP Masquerena. Doombroker attempting to bring another trap card from the deck, but it's getting negated and destroyed by the Domitianus, or whatever its name is. This being the biggest, baddest boss of the deck. Now, what is the problem here? What's the issue you're seeing with this screen? Well, Libromancers are all about attacking, going for a game. You're seeing a bunch of weak monsters. You're thinking, yep, happy days, this is going to go great. Except the Domitianus chooses your opponent's attack target, so he's forced to attack the Domitianus. His monsters are not big enough to get anywhere near it. However, he does basically, the Fire Burst can protect itself from destruction using its effect. So at the very least, he's not losing his Fire Burst, but this Domitianus is going to make it extremely difficult for Libromancers to make any sort of ground, especially considering that cost-free monster negate every turn. They're going to bring out Kit, banish 4 from grave to bring out Tri-Brigade, Shurag, as well as all of these powerful Gladiator Beast plays. They still have the ability to utilize the standard Tri-Brigade package. Domitianus swinging in to get some damage alongside Mekk-Knight Crusadia, but they still cannot get over the Fire Ritual monsters. However, he does have a plan. He's going to bring out Augustus from deck, sacrificing his Domitianus, bringing out Noxus from hand. Then using these two, he's going to go back into Editor. Editor then is going to summon out Geyseris from the extra deck. Geyseris targeting 2 to pop 2, but they are going to get hit with the Prevented. Of course, that doesn't do very much in this context, but it does prevent further fusion chaining. But again, ultimately that's fine. His Fire Burst is still a-okay. There's no real way for the Gladiator Beast to get over these monsters with any great ease. However, there's no way our Fire Burst can get over the Crusadia either, so our opponent just bites the bullet. They recognize that this is a losing game, and they simply attack in, finishing themselves off, taking the respectful way out. And yeah, really solid match. It went 2-0 here to our Gladiator Beast Tri-Brigade deck. Ace versus Yida, so very good, well done to both players. It's really interesting to see a lot of these cool strategies, especially that Gladiator Beast. Really love that deck. I keep on meaning to build it. I haven't done it yet, but it's so good. And then Libromancers is not a deck we see very often, so it is nice to see some people experimenting with the Libromancer tech. Love to see it on both sides. Let's keep going. Alrighty, it looks like we're getting into game 1 here between 6Z, Z42 and Ro. Our Zombies player here simply going to set 3 pass, looking like Zombies versus Dragon Maids here. Dragon Maids are going to open up with Chamber searching the deck for Hospitality. Then they're going to use Lore Powers effect, sending it to the graveyard so they can now use Dragon's Mirror in order to fusion summon into their Dragon Maid Xiao. Xiao now, of course, providing themselves with an Omni Negate. Now they're going to set a card and go in the battle phase swinging here. They're going to get hit with the Shiranui style trap card, but that's going to be negated by the Xiao. However, that does put the Banshee in graveyard for them to utilize its effect, activating Zombie World directly from their deck. So a bit of an interesting trade-off here where the Dragon Maids does get to prevent the trap card, but they are forced to allow through the Zombie World, summoning out House Dragon Maid to get some damage in at the very least for the turn before sitting one and passing over to our Zombies player yet again. Now our Zombies top deck in the Forbidden Droplet. What an amazing card to open up with here, ditching their Balladrock to Grave. Again, the reduction in negation doesn't matter. The most important part of this was definitely simply putting the Balladrock into the graveyard. And remember, the tidying, Balladrock of course revives itself every standby phase so long as there is a card in the field spell zone. Now the Dragon Maid tidying needs to target a dragon monster you control in order to activate. We don't control any dragon monsters, all we control is zombies. So the tidying cannot be utilized here, but the House Dragon Maid is going to take out Balladrock once more. Again, it's not accomplishing very much because you need to consider the fact that it's simply going to come back yet again during the standby phase, drawing into another Droplet, which is a great card to have. Balladrock making its way back, then the Zombie Necronize is going to activate, stealing the House Dragon Maid, going into battle and swinging for 3000. Then in main phase 2, they're going to Exceed Summon into the Zombie Vampire. Remember, with the Zombie Vampire, if you're using a monster that isn't yours for the summon, you can treat it as whatever level you want. So this guy changes the House Dragon Maid into a level 8 to be used for its summon. It's going to activate its effect, milling the top 4 from both decks to pick a monster among them to resummon it. He's going to go for Glow Up Bloom before linking off into the Vampire Sucker, triggering Glow Up Bloom to banish itself and basically summon from deck Chang-Chi, the Spiridao. Chang-Chi is going to send Mazira from deck to graveyard before linking off into Shiranui Skill Saga Supremacy, linking all the way up to the Supremacy. So this card's very interesting. You don't see it very often. Synchro monsters you control can't be destroyed by card effects. Fire monsters you control can't be destroyed by battle. Of course, that's meant to stack with the Shiranui extra deck, which is Synchro Fire monsters. So ideally, this would make your Shiranui Synchros indestructible, essentially. During your opponent's turn, you can target a banished zombie monster, a banished zombie synchro monster, and special summon it, so that's not a particularly useful ability right now, but it's still a good way of putting the Balladrock back into the graveyard so it can be resummoned during the standby phase here. So again, our dragon player, unfortunately, options are extremely limited. All of these cards require dragons, and they just simply don't have any. All of their cards are zombies. Zombie World striking yet again here, going into the battle phase, attacking for 23 and then 28 for game, sealing the victory here for a 2-0 victory to 6CZ42. I had a minor stroke there. We're going to pretend that didn't happen, and we're simply going to move into the next game. Already looks like we've got Tyson 10 versus Narif here. We're going to be opening up with Melody of the Awakening Dragon. Seems to be Blue Eyes versus Crusadia. We've got the Chaos Max in with the Blue Eyes as well, so it's no ordinary Blue Eyes deck. And here we have a Frame 1 Blue Eyes Chaos Max Dragon coming out alongside the Skill Drain and the Return of the Dragon Lords, bringing back the Blue Eyes White Dragon, and of course giving them a layer of graveyard protection. So this, yes, the Chaos Max has its protection negated by Skill Drain. However, trying to get over 4,000 attack while not being able to utilize monster effects isn't going to be the easiest thing in the world for Crusadia to do. Not impossible though. So we're going to open up with 4-Mud Skipper. 4-Mud Skipper then linking off into Lingaribo. That's going to trigger 4-Mud Skipper's effect to search the deck for Parallelic Seed. Very fantastic tech there. They're going to special summon another monster here to go into Dark, the Dark Charmer, triggering off the Parallelic Seed in their hand. That will of course be negated by the Skill Drain, so they won't be summoning another one from deck, but they do have the Monster Reborn in hand, capable of bringing out their 4-Mud Skipper. They're going to link off in the IP Masquerena and then link off again into Mekk-Knight Crusadia Avramax. So Avramax is of course a huge problem. Now with the Crusadia power making it unaffected by all of our card effects for the duration of this turn, that means Skill Drain is no longer a factor, so we can swing over the Blue Eyes Chaos Max. However, it is still protected by Return of the Dragon Lords. So while Chaos Max lost the battle, it certainly has not lost the war. It is still in the game here, and now Avramax is once again negated by Skill Drain, so it's now subject to those restrictions again. Azure Eye Silver Dragon, of course, being negated on summon. The Chaos Max going in for the kill on Avramax, taking it out. Avramax's graveyard effect now is going to spin the Skill Drain back to deck. It looks like we're putting everything on this next turn here with Crusadia. We're just going to have to bank on opening up a big with another monster. They're going to call by the grave the Wedgestone of Ancients in the opponent's graveyard. It's going to stop them from going for a Blue Eyes Jet Dragon, Blue Eyes White Dragon, whatever it is they decide to summon from deck. So it's the Azure Eyes and the Blue Eyes Chaos Max versus Hopes and Dreams here. It looks like they top deck into the Crusadia Leonis. All they needed was one extra monster in their hand, and they got exactly what they needed. Magius then searching their deck for Draco. Then they're going to link two off in the Lina, the Light Charmer. Lina's able to grab a light monster from the opponent's graveyard, stealing the Blue Eyes White Dragon from their opponent, summoning out the Draco straight from the hand to bring Maximus back to hand as well. Then they're going to link off yet again into Crusadia Equimax. Equimax, of course, going to be boosted up by the attack points of all monsters that its link arrows point to. 4,000 from Chaos Max, 3,000 from the Blue Eyes White Dragon, and 1,600 from our Maximus, and the battle damage it inflicts will now be doubled by the effect of Equimax, so this is gonna hurt. That's 10/6 into 4,000, 13,200 damage for a very decisive victory. So really good sort of back and forth match there. That was a 2-1 victory to Crusadia here in favor of Tyson 10, but again, very good match on both sides. It's hard to look at a match where Chaos Max Dragon and Mekk-Knight Crusadia Avramax go head to head multiple times in the one match and look at it as anything less than a win. So very well done to both players. Already getting into our game between Rainstraver and Kaiba Groiper. Okay, we're going to start off with Allure of Darkness here, banishing the Changshi, the Spirit Owl, which is pretty good banish. We're going to use Branded Fusion now, sending a Golden Lord to the graveyard to go into Albion, the Branded Dragon. Now Albion's going to get negated by an Imperm here. Again, you're playing against Sky Striker, you got to be ready for those types of plays. Look, it's Branded Zombies versus Sky Strikers. Let's see how this goes here. Our zombie player being forced to set 2 and pass back to our opponent here. They still have that set Imperm, which could be pretty useful. We're going to go Reinforcements of the Army, grabbing Rose and putting an extra spell card on our grave, Normal Summon Ray, and then Special Summon Rose. Imperm on the Ray here, which was, I'm not going to say an interesting play because it was a bad one. Not the greatest usage of the Infinite Permanence there, to be perfectly honest. They're going to go into Sky Striker Zeke, which is going to banish the Albion until the end of the next turn, which means no searching for you. We're going to go into Sky Striker Hayate, swings directly, deals 15, and sends from deck to graveyard a copy of Hornet Drones. Then our Engage is going to come out, main phase 2. We're going to grab Multi-Roll then activates. We're going to set a card, then link off into Shizuku, and then we're simply going to end our turn using our Shizuku to grab our Shark Cannon from our deck. Now we're going to use a quick little multi-roll shuffle here. So during the end phase, obviously, because you've just searched for the Shark Cannon, we're going to activate the Shark Cannon in the end phase to banish the Golden Lord from the graveyard. Then we can use multi-roll to reset the Shark Cannon back to our field. Shark Cannon, of course, being a huge counter to zombies in this particular matchup. Looks like we're playing double Changshi, which is pretty interesting. Even one of those cards isn't really super common in zombies. Especially not the 40 card version, but playing 2 of it's pretty interesting. It doesn't work out on this occasion, however. It is going to get stolen by the Widow Anchor, but Necronaze is going to steal it right back. I've never seen Necronaze be used to steal your own monster back from your opponent, but I mean, first time for everything. We're going to revive Ray from grave, then during the end phase, link it off of its ability into Shizuku, which is going to grab us a linkage straight from our deck then, which is setting us up pretty decently for some follow-up damage here. We're going to set the Widow Anchor back to the... It was a very confusing shuffling around of cards there, but they need to resolve in reverse order of their activation. So Changshi, the Necronaze wears off first, so Changshi goes back to our Sky Striker player, then the Widow Anchor wears off, and then it goes back to our Zombies player. We of course get our Branded Dragon back as well. So yes, it looks like we've got a really solid hand here. Widow Anchor stealing the Changshi yet again, as well as Albion, the Branded Dragon. Shark Cannon being activated while we have the chance to target the Mizuki in the graveyard. Are we also going to steal the Mizuki, or are we just banishing it? Okay, no, we're stealing the Mizuki here. We're just going for as much damage as possible, and very quickly our Zombies players realize that he can't fight against both his opponent's deck and his own deck at the same time, and he scoops it up. So very well played from both players here. Bit of an interesting game where you're fighting each other with... I feel like both players were playing zombies here, realistically, right? I feel like it was Branded Zombies versus Branded Zombies with a little bit of Sky Striker mixed in there. But yes, fantastic game to both players. It was a 2-0 victory to Rainstraver, our Sky Striker player. Fantastic games. Well done. And there we have it then. I hope you did enjoy watching the gameplay from all of our participants here. You can see the scoreboard on this side of me in terms of who is scoring where. So in terms of prize support, the top 3 finishers, you'll see gold, silver, bronze there. They were the ones who qualify for prize support. So there's still a couple of weeks left of the competition now. Again, it's a 4-week competition. This is currently the end of week 2. These are the end of week 2 scores. And so there's still basically all to be played for here coming up to the end of the season. So again, wish all of our contestants luck, and if you want to participate in this sort of event in the future, again, you know where the link is. Discord's right down below. Hop in, read the rules, have a look over it, and if you seems like you would like it, drop me a wee message and I can get you entered into the next iteration of the event. And with that, I'm going to be signing off and leaving you there. Bye bye.